And let's get right to my next guest, Republican Governor of Mississippi, Tate Reeves. Governor Reeves, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
It's an honor to be here with you today.
It's an honor to have you here. We appreciate you taking the time for the conversation. I want to get your reaction to former President Trump's decision to tap Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio for his running mate. He is someone who is viewed as the future, potentially, of the MAGA movement. He's also someone who has some isolationist views, particularly as it relates to Ukraine. What do you make of this pick?
Well, I will tell you, anytime you're thinking about selecting a vice president, I think one of the things that must come to the top of the forefront of your head is what is going to happen and who is going to be most likely to govern like me. And I think you look at Senator J.D. Vance's views when compared to all of the other candidates, all of whom I think had value that they could add to the ticket. But clearly Senator Vance has views very similar to President Trump. I also think that Senator Vance is going to bring something to the ticket because when you think about that Senate race just a couple of years ago and how well he did in rural Ohio, there are a lot of people in rural Ohio who are a lot like people in rural Wisconsin, rural Pennsylvania, rural Michigan, and quite frankly, rural Mississippi. And so I think he's going to add value from that perspective as well. So he has political value. He has value with respect to governing as well.
Let me read you something that Philip Klein of the National Review wrote of Vance. This is about his views. He says, Vance has been a leader of a movement aimed at wrestling away the Republican Party from the orthodoxy of free markets and muscular foreign policy. Instead, Vance's vision is for a Republican Party that embraces large government programs, is more open to taxing corporations, that shows more foreign policy restraint, and that wields the power of the state in the culture wars. Big government taxing corporations doesn't sound like your father's Republican Party.
Well, look, there's no doubt that the Republican Party believes in the power of the individual. And what I would tell you when it comes to various policy views. We have a lot of different people in our party that have a lot of different views on a lot of these issues because we believe in the individual. The Democrat Party, historically, they believe the best decisions are made in Washington, D.C. We believe the best decisions are made back in the states. And so I think you'll see a governing coalition that we certainly are going to fight for those views we believe in. But I think Senator Vance is an excellent pick.
Does any of that, though, give you pause about the future of where the Republican Party is heading? Do you worry that there's going to be too much focus on big government, not enough focus on trying to intervene in what's happening in Ukraine, for example?
Well, look, I certainly don't support big government. In fact, I think big government needs to get out of the way and empower the individual. Those are my views and my beliefs, and I think you'll see a lot of conversation around that for many years to come.
Let me play a little bit of what we heard, this one of many extraordinary moments so far this week of Teamsters President Sean O'Brien. Get your reaction on the other side.
You know, corporatists hate when working people join together to form unions. But for a century, major employers have waged a war against labor by forming corporate unions of their own. We need to call the Chamber of Commerce and the business roundtables what they are. They are unions for big business. The biggest recipients of welfare in this country are corporations, and this is real corruption. We must put workers first.
What did you make of that speech? Someone said it was a sign that the conservative movement is no more. What did you make of that?
Well, I don't know that I would go that far. I will say about that speech, I give him credit for having the courage to come into this crowd and give that speech. I will give him credit for that. I do think that big corporations have, in many ways, colluded with big government over the last several years. And I think that when you look at a state like Mississippi, the vast majority of Mississippians are employed by small businesses, and our economy is booming today. We have the lowest unemployment rate in our state's history. We have more people working today than at any point in our state's history. That's not true everywhere in the country, but that's true in Mississippi, and it's being driven largely by capital investments by small businesses all across Mississippi.
I want to ask you about the speech that we're going to hear tomorrow night from former President Donald Trump, the main event. He says he's torn up his speech. He has rewritten it. He is going to strike a note calling for unity for the country. What are you anticipating? And obviously, I just was discussing this with his son, Eric Trump. Donald Trump is known as a counterpuncher. He's very proud of the rhetoric that has gotten him into office the first time, and that is, he's known for on the campaign trail. What are you anticipating? What do you hope to hear?
Well, I think the crowd in this building tomorrow night is going to be electric. Just having spent some time on the floor the last 2 days, the one thing I can say about the Republican Party is we are united in our attempts to take back the White House. It is a time in American political history unlike very few we've ever seen. What happened in Pennsylvania on Saturday really shook me personally. My daughters were there, watched it with me. The president and President Trump, it was very clear and obvious to me when he walked in this particular facility on Monday night. It literally, I think it changes the dynamic in many ways. And look, we are a great country, and we need to recognize that. Now, we've got challenges, and many of those challenges that Americans are dealing with are pocketbook issues that they're talking about around their kitchen table right now. But I expect the president to come in to unify the party and unify the country.
And just to be very clear, do you want to see Donald Trump turn down his rhetoric, and do you think he's capable of it, given his background?
Well, look, Donald Trump's going to be Donald Trump. We know that.
That's not a yes.
Donald Trump is going to be Donald Trump. He and I have campaigned together many times over the last 5 or 6 years, but I do think that the moment that occurred Saturday night changes a lot of things. It really does.
Changed everything in this country.
It's an unbelievable moment.
Governor, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Good to see you.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.